Skull, 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 Skull Vikes. All right, welcome back to V-Hawks podcast, where we're both looking to get wins. Seahawks to bounce back from the Lions' loss, and the Vikings to get one more win to go into the bye week undefeated. Can we do it? Stay tuned for our opinions.
AJ Barner's the greatest rookie tight end of all time, and no one can tell me otherwise.
You're welcome for telling you to put him as a picture for this week. Um, All right. Well, starting off with the Thursday night matchup, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Atlanta Falcons. This will be arguably the first matchup
Mm,
between the two best teams in this division. I'm going to take the Buccaneers in this one because they've proven more to me, but Atlanta at home is a good advantage, so I wouldn't be surprised if they take it, but give me the Bucks.
yeah, the Bucks have looked dominant other than the Broncos loss, which that was conference versus conference. But so far they've beat the Eagles, they've beat the Lions. Like the only team you could ask them to beat would be the 49ers, but so far in those games they've looked as one of the best NFC teams other than the Vikings. So going with Tampa Bay, I just feel confident. Baker Mayfield's looking good. Talk some shit about Tom Brady, kind of got hit for it, but still playing well.
Yep. Skipping over my game, going to the Panthers at the Bears. Give me Chicago in this one. Caleb Williams is looking better. That defense is still pretty good, so they'll give the Panthers some trouble. And yeah, if Chicago loses this game, I'm gonna laugh my ass off.
Panthers had one good week. That's it. Off to the Bears.
All right. Baltimore taking on Cincinnati. I'm taking Baltimore in this one.
Yeah.
Cincinnati has no business winning this game, and they've talked too much ish for me to um pick them ever in a game unless they're playing a team like the Panthers, which I even picked the Panthers last week. So, um, which they made it a game, but yeah, the Baltimore Ravens finally utilized the King, and he has reclaimed his crown beat thusly. So, give me Baltimore, and I think you agreed, right?
Yeah, Baltimore had a dominant win against the Bills, and at least three of the four quarters against Dallas, they looked dominant as well. Um, Cincinnati has struggled. They did not look that dominant against the Panthers. It's just the Panthers didn't have enough to keep up with them. The Ravens usually have Joe Burrow's number. Have to go with the Ravens on this one.
There we go. Miami at New England, two bad teams, but two. This is arguably the hardest one for me to pick this week.
Yeah,
Miami has not gotten it together on offense whatsoever, and their defense is very vulnerable against the run, which is what the Patriots like to do. The
they got
Patriots have
smacked
had
by
some
the
actually good
Titans.
competition too, so I'm going to take the Patriots in this one because they're actually a little bit battle tested.
Yeah, this is at the Patriots. If this was at the Dolphins, I might have reconsidered, but Dolphins had a Monday night game at home. They looked horrible. That offense just has not been able to find a rhythm. And yes, they get another week, but as of right now, the Patriots haven't looked great either. But I have to go with the more consistent quarterback, and that's Jacoby Brissett, which that's a low bar to meet, and even the Dolphins fail that bar right now. So I have to give it to New England. I can we just 3-2-1 this one?
Yep,
3-2-1 Washington.
Commanders.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, now this one, Indianapolis at Jacksonville. We've been talking a lot of ish about how bad Jacksonville is, but give me them to get their first win this week because the Colts have a history of struggling in Duval. And that is usually a good matchup in favor of Jacksonville in the division. So I'm going to have them take their first win here. Do I think it's going to help them save their season? No, but will it be their first win? I think so.
Well, this is the first difference of the week. I'm going with the Colts. Jacksonville just has not shown me anything, and especially if it's Joe Flacco, I feel like he's just going to tear apart the Jaguars defense because I feel much better about the Steelers defense than I do the Jaguars defense. And the Colts look pretty good on offense. I wouldn't say dominant, but they looked very good offensively against a really good Steelers defense. Um, I just don't think Jacksonville has the pieces on offense nor defense to really keep up if it's a high scoring game. We've seen that already. Jacksonville is just not a good team, and I think Doug Peterson's done. They'll be falling to 0-5 this week.
I wholeheartedly agree with everything you said, which is why it's kind of funny that I'm picking the Jaguars. I'm just going based off of history. They do not do well in Jacksonville. So division history, maybe it'll stay with me and maybe I'm calling the upset, but
I
I
will
don't
be
feel very
interested to
don't
see
feel
if
very confident in it.
I will be interested to see if Anthony Richardson's going to be back or if it's Joe Flacco. I kind of want to see how that shapes out first, but I'm still giving the slight lean to the Colts because we've actually seen them play well. Jaguars, we haven't seen them play well yet.
Yeah, if the NFL was all logic based, I'd be going Colts all the way, but
That's fair.
again, just purely going off of history, just like how we picked the NFC East winner for each division. I'm purely doing that with this. So, next up we've got Buffalo taking on Houston. This should be one of the most exciting games this week
Should.
if you're going to tune into the 1 o'clock, especially the 1 o'clock slot.
Should.
Um, I mean, in the 1 o'clock slot, that should definitely be the one. I mean, this is the last one on the list. So two, 3-1
Buffalo
teams.
and Ravens
So
game should have been good.
that one, yeah, it should have been. That's true. Buffalo did just lose Von Miller. They did just have a humbling loss to the Ravens. Texans had a loss to us, but otherwise have beaten the teams they've got to beat. They barely beat Jacksonville. So, both of these teams haven't really proven anything as far as quality of opponents. But I'm gonna take the Bills here. I think they're gonna be looking for a bounce back game. Houston won last week, so I think they're not really gonna be playing for as much, so to speak. So give me the Bills.
I feel like Houston at home, that's just gonna be a tough game. I feel it. This is tough because we have not seen the Texans play a full complement game where we felt, okay, that's the Texans from last year. We haven't really
Yeah.
seen that type of game yet, and I feel like it has to get there at some point. Um, I could definitely see Buffalo winning this one, but I feel like a 1 o'clock home game at Houston. They just came off a win against a division opponent. Buffalo's coming off of a little later game of Sunday night. Um, I feel like they're going to still be a little in that loss, and Houston's going to sneak one away from them.
All righty, then we've got Vegas at Denver. This is highly dependent on the Raiders' injury list for me, at least. If the Raiders get their key pieces back, I will be going with the Raiders. If their key pieces are still injured, I will be going with Broncos.
Same with me. If right now, just not knowing about the injuries, I'm going with the Broncos. They've looked good in the past 2 weeks. Yes, the Raiders did just win, but it was against the Browns, which we don't really have much confidence in the Browns right now. Um, but if the Raiders have their defensive and offensive pieces back, or at least most of them, I will be going with the Raiders. Right now, I'm giving it to the Broncos.
Yeah, and I've got the Raiders selected ahead of time because I'm assuming their guys will be back. But if they don't, I'll switch it back over to the Broncos. Next, can we 3-2-1 this one?
49ers.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. What about this one?
Packers.
Yeah. Okay. What about this one? Oh
Seattle.
wait, no, sorry. We're doing that later. Sorry, my bad.
We can just go
Um,
ahead
but
against the Giants.
okay, 3-2-1 Seattle.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Cowboys taking on Pittsburgh. Honestly, uh, the Cowboys have not beaten anybody good. And they're not at home, and I think those two reasons alone are enough to pick Pittsburgh. Um, Pittsburgh's hometown is also good to play in, and it's a primetime game. Pittsburgh has a history of showing up well in primetime, so give me Pittsburgh.
Yeah, the Steelers or the Cowboys defense has some injuries. Even then, they're not great at stopping the run, even with those guys. I feel like without them, it's just only going to get worse, even though you can't get worse than already terrible. But I feel like Pittsburgh's going to be able to get the run game going. Justin Fields looked really, or I wouldn't say really good. He looked good against the Colts, which it's hard to say because a lot of people look good against the Colts defense. Um, but I feel like Pittsburgh's going to be able to come away with a win. It's going to be a physical grind out game, which the Cowboys do not like to do. It's just going to be too much for them. And TJ Watt's just basically going to be able to 3-2-1 snap tee off against Dak Prescott because they're not going to be worried about that run game anyways. Um,
Yeah, and
3
Pittsburgh's
2 1 this
defense is
one.
going to be looking for revenge after last week.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Kansas City for sure. We can 3-2-1 it. I just want to say that I could see the Saints upsetting this week. Their offense has been shut down for 2 weeks straight, and I think they're going to be trying to correct that, especially having a little bit more time to prepare with it being a Monday night game. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints win, especially since the Chiefs are going to be down Rasheed Rice.
Yeah.
Um,
With all the
so
offensive injuries, I could definitely
yeah.
see if New Orleans can force Mahomes into the mistakes he's been having, and if Derek Carr finally wakes up from his pumpkin state coma. Um, I could see New Orleans taking this one. If it was at New Orleans, I'd feel better, but at Kansas City, tough place to play on a Monday night. I just feel like Kansas City's been able to find wins out of their ass for basically every game this season. I don't think it's going to stop here. So give me Kansas City on this one.
Yeah, as much as I would like for the Chiefs to lose this game so the Vikings could be the only undefeated if we beat the Jets, I don't want the Saints to win. So I just cannot find it in my heart to root for the Saints unless they're playing the Packers. So I'm gonna vote with my heart and go with the Chiefs. And then going back up to my game because we already did Matt's because it was the Giants. Um, Jets taking on Minnesota in London. I think this is the first international game this season. Um, I'm picking the Vikings again. I have some confidence in it. I feel like the hardest stretch of the 5 games schedule before our bye week has been done with the 49ers, the Texans, and the Packers at Green Bay. Um, so I feel a little bit better about this game, but it is still Aaron Rodgers, so I don't know how much Brian Flores' schemes are going to affect Rodgers as far as like being able to disguise and confuse him because he's been around the block. But I think that from what we've seen from the Jets team, they are vulnerable. Um, and I think that Minnesota can pull it off and hopefully go into the bye week 5-0. So I'll take Minnesota.
Yeah, I have Minnesota winning. I just feel like the Jets struggled, and I feel like going away from home, going to London, it's not going to really help. Not sure. I don't think either team's going to really have a home field advantage. I'm not sure what the London
I
population.
think that what happens is Minnesota flies over a day or two before New York does.
Technically, you have home field advantage, but
Yeah.
crowd
Yes, and
wise,
that's what sucks too is like the NFC gets the extra home game this year because always flip-flops and Minnesota gets has to go over to London every time. Um so it kind of sucks. It's not really home field advantage, but I will say it is nice that they allow us to fly over sooner, which I think it allows us to get used to the jet lag or get over it rather. So
and we saw the Jets offense have some struggles. Aaron Rodgers was getting pressured and sacked. Your D lines had a very good success rate rushing the passer. Just feel like you're going to be able to get to Rodgers, get him moving around when he's not as mobile as he used to. Going to force some bad throws, probably end a couple drives early. I don't see Minnesota having really. Justin Jefferson might have a quieter game against Sauce Gardner. I'm not sure about that matchup. We'll see what happens. But Addison being there, Aaron Jones gets to face his former quarterback. Kind of on a revenge tour right now, funny enough. Um, but yeah, I feel like the Vikings just have enough pieces, even though this is a conference v conference foe. Jets are still a decent team, but I think you should be able to get through this one unscathed.
we got to get Sam Darnold his revenge game. for sure.
That's fair. It's also Sam Darnold,
Um,
so
yeah. I mean, we won in MetLife. We beat the Niners. We don't play the Panthers. So so this is the last revenge game for Sam Darnold.
it's funny
So
enough. We saw what happened with Cliff Kingsbury with the Commanders versus the Cardinals last week, and that was a beatdown. So if Sam Darnold's pulling the same approach, it should be a good Sunday morning for y'all.
absolutely. And I will say I was watching some of the QB school videos. Shout out to them. They were breaking down Sam Darnold's performance against the Packers, and JJ didn't really have a, breakout game by any means, but he emphasized how he JJ being a wide receiver one does wide receiver one things where he draws all the coverage in his route and gets other guys so wide open because you're probably looking in that Packers game that a lot of the times Jordan Addison or Jalen Naylor caught the ball, they had like at least 7 yards from the nearest receiver. Um, and you wonder like how in the heck do these guys get so wide open? It's because it's the Jefferson effect. Like so, Addison, Naylor, our tight ends, they should be getting open because of Jefferson. So whether or not Jefferson has a great day against Sauce Gardner shouldn't really matter. Hopefully, it's that can everybody else win their matchups and can the run game get going? But I want Sam Darnold to get his revenge game. But at the end of the day, if we have to take a loss to the Jets, it's an AFC team, so I won't really care. I just Sam Darnold his revenge game, go into the bye week 5-0 would just be amazing. So that's all I'm hoping for, but it will not be the most devastating thing. Rather lose to AFC team any day of the week than an NFC team.
Well, that will do it. We'll go on to week 5 and we'll see y'all in week 6.
There we go. Hopefully we're coming back happier. Um Well, hopefully I'll be sustained in happiness and hopefully you will have renewed happiness. How about that?
Hopefully. All right.
There we go.
Peace.
Peace.